Are you a sports fanatic? You get off on college football, college basketball, the NBA, the NFL, golf, ping pong, and sports betting. Wait, back up. Ping pong? What the hell? This is Jump Shots from the Goal Line.
Watch out! He's got getting away from the top speed.
Hot takes and hilarious banter on everything from college football to the NBA and everything in between, except ping pong. And we're not just flying solo. We're bringing in some heavy hitters from the world of sports. Journalists, players, legends. You name it, we've got them. Why should they have all the fun?
Bryant for the win. Bang!
This is Jump Shots from the Goal Line. Where every episode is a slam dunk. And now your hosts, Jonathan Dugan and John Henningsen.
All right, welcome to the show, everybody. Big week, huge week. We got NFL free agency still going wild. Big trades, things happening on that front. But 'tis the week, Henny. This is the week I should have got my vasectomy, as you like to say.
Yeah.
We're in the midst of it, friend.
Big missed op.
March Madness. We're here, baby. It is happening. The brackets have been released. We're going to do a special Jump Shots from the Goal Line kind of co-bracket. We're going to, battle it out amongst each other, figure out where this podcast wants to go in terms of, who's doing what. I don't know why I'm so far away from my desk, but Jesus Christ.
I was taking your page. I'm getting further back. I'm trying to move back further every week.
Yeah, until you're just not on the pod anymore.
Yeah. I was like, sometimes I see the little thumbnail, and I'm like, I'm too big.
Yeah, totally.
Why am I so big?
And then your dog's ass is just chilling there. So that's cool.
Yeah, she's in today.
Yeah, we got a special guest, Henny's dog. So, but yeah, we're going to do the little co-bracket, figure out what we want to do with that. You guys can either choose to ride with us, which cautious, take caution with that. But also not the worst of ideas either. Or you can, choose to be like Henny and Dugan know nothing. Why am I listening to this podcast, and go the complete opposite way, which also might not be a bad thing to do. So we got that on the dock, and then of course Twitter fingers. So why don't we knock out NFL free agency real quick, Henny? Obviously, we talked last week. A lot of things happened. We had the whole Russell Wilson stuff, but this week the Steelers have made a couple more moves. As a Ravens fan, I'm getting a little worried. They're getting dangerous. They did trade for Justin Fields for only a 6th-round pick. Now, granted, it can turn into a 4th-round pick if something crazy happens to Russell Wilson. I think he has to play like 40% of their games or something like that for that to kick into a 4th. But even at a 4th, we're talking a guy that the Bears drafted only, 3 years ago, traded the moon to get up to that position to get him. And now they're moving on with Caleb Williams in sight. What are your thoughts on the move?
I think from the Bears' perspective, the mistakes were made a long time ago. So at this point, I assume this is what the market was. So there was like sort of the thought being floated out there that they could hang on to him, see if there's an injury. But I just don't think you want to muddy the waters as you're bringing in a new quarterback. I don't think you want 2 guys there. I don't think you want a divided locker room. So I think if you're the Bears, I think you cut your losses. I think they did the right thing. I think, obviously, if you're a Bears fan, I'm sure you wanted more. I'm sure you think he's more valuable than that. There's been times where I've watched Justin Fields and believe he can be a starter in this league. I wouldn't say that I've written him off. So for the Steelers, I think it's a great move. You have the gap filler, or your ability to bridge the gap with Russell Wilson, and then a potential guy behind him who, could be really a long-term play as a starter. So I understand your concerns as someone who's rooting against the Steelers. And I mean, who are we kidding? I think we all are. But, I think it's a really good move for them. And I like Justin Fields in that with that group, and just to seeing what they can do. So that was an interesting one. I mean, I definitely was surprised that, just a 6th rounder, as you said, could convey to a 4th, but not a big ask for a quarterback.
No, and to completely flip that quarterback room on its head in one offseason it's pretty impressive. You know, they're already talking about potentially doing an extension of the Russ. I think that's a little too soon based on how his last 2 years in Denver went, but I get it, right? Like if he wants to sign for another couple years at a discounted rate, hey, whatever. But I think that's also why you go out and get a guy like Justin Fields, because if it doesn't work out, like you said, dude, I didn't think Justin Fields was all that bad in Chicago. I think he was just surrounded by shitty players. I think they did a good job of going out and getting a couple guys last year that made a little bit of a difference. And then this year, you know, speaking of free agency moves and trades, they did go get your boy out of LA. So now Caleb has that to look forward to. But I think you're right, dude. I don't think it was ever going to work out with Justin staying there. I think it was it's been written all season that they were going to move on from him. Good, bad, or indifferent. When you got a guy like Caleb Williams, as much of a weirdo I think he is off the field, you got to go out and get him. Plus, it gives you another 5 years to kind of reset the standard and the cap and everything, and you can surround him with talent like they already are starting to do. So it makes sense, I think, for both sides. For this Ravens fan, I'm just a little disappointed that the Steelers were the ones that picked up the phone and made the call. It was interesting, though. I don't know if you saw. I guess there are multiple suitors for Fields, and he turned them all down and said, "No, I want to go to Pittsburgh. I want to be a backup, at least for a year." I think that says a lot about the organization as much as it pains me, and it gives them a viable starter down the road without having to use draft capital. So,
and it does make a lot of sense, right? I mean, there's been some noise being made today. And I'm going to totally blank on who this is, but someone was talking about how Caleb Williams should just still demand a trade. And I'm trying to remember who RG3. I was like, who went out and did it? I was like, whoever wanted to be in the headlines today. And I don't know like how serious it is or how much he really means it or believes it or blah, blah, blah. But anybody, frankly, who's taking the counterpoint and saying like, this is absolutely absurd. The Bears have done everything, you know, Big Cat and whoever.
yeah.
Come on, dude. You guys have killed every quarterback you've ever had.
Every quarterback.
So, like, please, RG3 can't be that wrong. I mean, it's not a crazy thing to say. It might be on one extreme or the other, and probably neither are exactly true. Yeah. But, man, I'm sure that's exactly what Justin Fields was thinking. Was like, I want to get to an organization that's stable. I don't want to be a part of another project. We saw Baker kind of go through it, and then maybe he's like now found a home where he can look, these guys just want to make another paycheck. Like if he can just find a home and be a 3-year starter somewhere and, you know, make another 30, 40, $50 million, I'm sure that's first and foremost on his mind. And then those other things come when they come. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's it's a good move by the Steelers. I think it's a good move for Justin Fields. Like if he has to sit for a year, he has to sit for a year.
Yeah. And, you know, chances are like, You're sitting behind a guy that's, what is Russell Wilson, 35, I think, probably around there.
Chicken.
And, you know, he likes to move around the pocket a lot, and you're playing AFC North football. So I would say, like, you know, you don't want this to happen if you're a Steelers fan, or, I mean, I think a rational football fan, you don't want this to happen. But chances are, I mean, something could happen that he could get some game time in and actually play a big part of their season. And, dude, I think he could play really well there. He's got a nice receiver and Pickens there. They have just a really good infrastructure. They've done pretty well grooming quarterbacks. I think even Kenny Pickett, like he's getting the raw end of this deal, right? Because like he got moved. He got moved to Philly. He does look kind of like a sore loser, saying it was time for him to move on, even though he didn't even finish his rookie contract. But I thought they did fine with him. I didn't think he was a terrible option for them. But I think Fields is the better quarterback, especially long-term, especially for how the league is going and how the AFC North is going. You look around, like all those quarterbacks are dynamic. I mean, even Weird Boy in Cleveland, you know, and I'm not talking about our you know, son, Jameis Winston. So I like it. No, that'll come later.
You better not. Yeah.
I have a little nugget for you down the road for that, but I don't know. I like the move for all parties. I'm not going to sit here and be Big Cat and be like, yeah, I do think Chicago's done a good job because they do have a hellacious history with quarterbacks. I think Jay Cutler was probably like their best one in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, but outside of that, they have not had any luck. Though DJ Moore and Keenan Allen with Cole Kmet, and in their running back situation, they're gonna have I'm blanking the guy that was in Philly last year, dude. Freaking former Detroit Lion.
Yep.
Georgia running back.
Yep.
every whatever. They're gonna have a more dynamic offense. You know what I mean? And now they can go ahead, focus. Swift, DeAndre Swift. Thank you, Henny. That's why you're my co-host.
Just took 30 seconds. I hope no one timed it.
Yeah. But now they can go get, you know, Williams at number 1, and at number 9 they can go get a left tackle. You know, hey, they're set for the future. That's a good move for them. And like we said, the Steelers look good. How do you feel about Keenan Allen being a Bear? I thought personally, weird saga, because earlier that day it comes out that like he agreed to a contract like renegotiation. Then it comes out later that he definitely did not. He was not about to like mess with his own money. And then he gets moved. How did you feel about that?
I think it comes with the territory, but I'm okay. I know there's like other Chargers fans out there who are, you know, apoplectic, you know, or like just absolutely cannot believe that. I don't think I said that word right, but absolutely cannot believe that they didn't keep Keenan Allen and he's not going to retire as a Charger. Dude, this is just not how this works. Like Phillip Rivers didn't retire a Charger. Keenan Allen didn't retire a Charger. Losing LT was devastating, but guess what? He didn't finish as a Charger. It's just not always how it works. And if you don't have the luxury of winning a Super Bowl and just paying guys because it's fun, and you're actually trying to rebuild your organization, I just think it's the cost of doing business. So am I bummed? Yeah, I love Keenan Allen. I've always been a Keenan Allen guy. But I think it is what it is. I mean, they were in some cap situation. If you would have told me at the beginning of this, again, I would have thought it would have been, you know, 2 of the 4 guys we'd have kept. I would have guessed it would have been Keenan Allen and Mack. It ends up being Bosa and Mack, so they hung on the defensive side. I assume that they probably think that they can address the wide receiver position in the draft or just piecemeal it together and just draft fullbacks and ram the ball down people's throat. I don't really care what the plan is. I trust in Jim at this point and the boys, so I'm just letting them ride, and I'm not getting too emotional or riding up and down with. Plus, I mean, dude, we've seen it year after year after year. Winning free agency is not winning the regular season, nor the playoffs, nor the Super Bowl. Yeah, and we see that time after time. So I never try to overreact to this stuff. I mean, you know, when you look at something like Steelers, like revamping their quarterback room, that's pretty impressive, and I would think that would pay dividends. But when you're talking about moving things on the edges, and you know, Keenan Allen's getting up there, and so I do think it's to the point where, you know, is this contract sort of worth it? No. I mean, I think the conversation, like, to me, everything but Justin Herbert was on the table. You know, that's what I would have told you.
It does suck, though, just from like a pure nostalgia standpoint. Because, like, when I think of the Chargers, you do obviously think of Herbert, but old heads like us think of Keenan Allen. You know what I mean? Like, at least the past like 10 years. So it's tough, but I agree with you. With a contract like that, I do find it funny that you and I had a lot of conversation that NFL guys don't get traded, and we had freaking 4 trades this weekend. So what do we know, you know? But hey, if the Bears want to take on that contract, they have the cap room to do it. You guys don't. I will tell you, though, as somebody that has sampled the Greg Roman offense himself, I would be a little cautious that you're getting rid of every wide receiver that you've ever had.
Looks familiar.
And your one free agent signing so far has been a running back and a few offensive linemen that played
2
for the
tight
Ravens.
ends. Yeah.
Hayden Hurst, former Raven. Today, Bradley Bozeman, former Raven. I hope you're ready to run the freaking ball, bud, because that's what's about to happen.
That's okay by me.
Yeah, it's, you know, you got Herbert. I'm sure they're going to go out and draft 5 wide receivers, take Jacob Cowing at 5, you know, make us happy. But in all, you know, reality, there's some great options for you guys to take at number 5. I mean, Malik Neighbors, God forbid Marvin Harrison Jr. slips a little bit to you guys. I mean, we could be real happy here in a couple months.
Yeah, I think he's the one guy you keep an eye on. I think if he slides to 5, then I think obviously wide receiver becomes in play because he's just the number 1 option. Otherwise, I think you might see the Chargers, if they're able to flip for picks. Like, I don't even know that they wouldn't mind trading down. There's a lot of holes on the roster. So, can you get speed or otherwise down the road when you already invested in QJ and Palmer in the last couple of years and they're around, and who knows, maybe they feel like in the building at some level they're ready. They might have come in and thought they were trash. I really don't know. That's the thing, is we will never know what's going on in the building, but we'll soon find out.
I'll say this though, your new GM, former Ravens assistant GM, Ravens typically, and he was there for 20 plus years, they typically do trade around, try to, accumulate picks. And QJ was on the Ravens draft board last year. So maybe you're on the right track there, bud. I think ultimately you're in a good spot, right? Because you can either trade back, get just a war chest of picks, because 5 is no joke. You guys are an established team with some good players, so it's not like you're dying to pick at 5, I don't think. But if you do stay there, you got 3 wide receivers, at least in my book. Marvin Harrison Jr., you got Malik from LSU, and Rome Odunze. Yeah. All 3 of those guys, potential number 1 picks if we're not in like the quarterback frenzy that we are this year, right? Like they are that good. So you're in an envious position. So I get why they're making the moves they are, cutting Mike Williams when they did, which, by the way, I've had a few people reach out to me and be like, this is who the Ravens should sign. And I'm like, this guy's literally made out of peanut brittle.
It's going to be sick. He'll make one acrobatic catch, he'll land, and then you're like, oh, that was it? That was the one?
No.
And I love
10 games.
I enjoy watching Mike, man, but like you just can't enjoy him that much. He's not going to be around long.
Already tied to the Steelers, though. He's already tied to the Steelers. Pittsburgh heavy conversation today, but he's already tied there. I hope the best for Mike, dude. I loved watching him at Clemson. Like he was great. I had really high hopes for him in that Chargers offense, but like you just said, best ability is availability, and he ain't got it. And then with Keenan, he was just on the wrong side of 30 with a 30-something $1 million cap hit. So all the moves you guys made make sense. So I'm not worried about it. The one thing I did want to bring up just as a Ravens fan, again, Pittsburgh heavy for some reason today, but Patrick Queen signing with the Steelers. I don't know about you, dude, but I've noticed this offseason, guys are just signing with rivals. Like it doesn't matter to them at all. It's really, really strange. And then he took it a step further in his introductory social media post, because they all do it now. He talked about he can't wait for his villain arc to start. Weird thing to do, right? It's not like he was like ostracized out of Baltimore. Like he was pretty well loved by the end of it, but like these guys have to lean into something because they think they have to have this brand.
Yeah, exactly.
And it took all of 12 hours for him to flip that on its head and be like a little bitch about it. A bunch of Ravens fans, because this is what fans do, started, attacking him on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and talking about how could you join a rival, blah, 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 blah. Ravens defensive players, historically, especially defensive players, hate Pittsburgh. He goes there, starts talking about how it's the greatest organization in the world. And then 12 hours later, after saying he wants to be a villain, talks about, well, guys, hey, like, ask any player, like, the only time we think about the Steelers is game week. It's like, dude, come on. Like, you just talked about wanting to be a villain, and now you're backtracking. Like, in my opinion, good riddance. See you later, bud. You obviously don't have the stones for a rivalry like that anyway. Can't wait for that first matchup to see what Derrick Henry does to you. Today's day and age, Henny, you and I grew up where like Ray Lewis would never join the Steelers, right? Like LT would have never joined the Raiders.
Who do you blame, Dugan? Is it the Marvel comic book movies? Who's to blame?
I think we blame Madden, dude, because I think Madden just allows us.
Is that what it is?
Maybe, I don't know. I think the fluoride in the water just
the Hollywood elite.
Yeah.
Whose fault is this?
I think it's almond milk, dude. I think people started switching off regular milk and like they just got soft.
Yeah. Q oat milk versus whole milk. Yeah, mean versus type. Yeah.
So the reason why players are now signing with rivals is because they drink too much oat milk. So we jump shots from the goal line exclusive. We're on it first. That's why this NFL offseason is just bonkers. All right.
Not us, dude. Titty milk guys, big time.
Give me that cow udder, baby.
Yeah. Not us, pal. Not us.
outside of that, dude, NFL free agency has been wild, but those are like probably the main moves. Can you think of anything else that kind of caught your eye?
No, nothing jumps. I mean, partly this is like because I'm a little bit immune to NFL free agency, as I mentioned. I just years and years of like, does this matter? Like does Queen move the needle for the Steelers at all? Like, I'm sure he does, but there's just like there's bigger pieces in play.
Yeah.
So I think I just sort of I see it. We covered a lot of the running back stuff that we talked about early. I think the quarterback move, yeah, like those are the big ones. I think the seeing Fields go certainly, but and as our boy Hesse says here, I don't give a. And there's a lot of asterisks there. So I think he picked one of his favorite words. But yeah, I kind of lean into the same kind of philosophy where I don't know. I mean, I care, but I don't care. Like NFL free agency is not my passion project either. So I think we hit the big ones, unless I'm missing something.
The reason why I show Hesse's comment is because I want to dissect this really quick. All right. He's both of our friend. The man's a Jets fan. All right. In terms of rivalries, yeah, Hesse, I'm sure no New York Jet has ever really cared about joining the Patriots, right? Because it wasn't much of a rivalry. But when we talk about Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers, I can promise you with full confidence that Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Haloti Ngata would have never joined the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just wouldn't have happened. But I know that's, you can't relate.
It's got a real rivalry brewing with our political system, though. I'll tell you what.
Hesse. By the way, Hesse, I wanted to show you my shirt, little Limp Bizkit shirt. All right. I'm about that life. I don't just talk about it on a podcast. So
going hard on these streets. This guy's ready to fight. This man about to take that shirt off.
Patrick Queen got to me, dude. I don't know what to tell you, But all right, man. We'll jump off the NFL free agency stuff because like you just said, I'm a firm believer. The haters are out. Hesse's here. But I agree with you. I don't think, yeah. And then he comes right back at us. Yeah, I remember the Baltimore Ravens playing in the 60s. Okay, cool. I'm glad we're going back 60 years, Hesse, the last time the Jets were relevant. Anyway, I don't think it makes much of a difference. We see the Jacksonville Jaguars every year spend $1 billion, and they forever just, shit on themselves and never do anything. So it doesn't matter. The good teams don't really sign a lot of people anyway. Kansas City we can talk about, actually. They did make a pretty big move before we move on. How do you feel about the Hollywood Brown to Kansas City? Is that their answer to Tyreek a little bit?
I mean, I don't think it's not right. If you're ever going to unlock Hollywood Brown,
it's in this.
This is it. However, I would not be surprised to see him in a similar, like, hey, this looks great a lot of the time, or some of the time, or part of the time, and then there's the drops, and then there's the inconsistencies, and then there's the missed game. So I think it moves the needle, a tick, but they just seem to be able to like continue to piecemeal this receiving core together. But I think he's a better piece than what they had all of last year. So I mean, I do think it matters, but I wouldn't consider this I wouldn't put him on the Tyreek Hill arc just because he's in Kansas City.
No, I don't think so either. He's not going to put up 2,000 yards or anything like that, right? But when you look at that receiving room, definitely better than Tony.
Yep.
Definitely better than MVS. He's been an established receiver, has had an 1,000-yard season in Baltimore. I thought he played pretty well in Arizona when Kyler was there.
Great.
He fits the system really well. But you said one thing that is very apropos is injury. Like, he's a slight guy. He's going to be playing in the snow now. We'll see, right? But you're completely right again. There's one team that can unlock that guy. Watch out.
Yeah.
It's going to be Kansas City. And the last point I'll make, I swear we're going to move off from NFL.
Remember when the Cardinals traded a first-round pick for that guy, though?
Yeah, that was great. I loved that. That was a lot of fun.
Good deal.
Yeah, good job, Ravens.
Smart.
But the last thing I will say is teams like Kansas City or teams like the New Orleans Saints, this is going to be your topic because you're the cap is a myth thing, right? How do they keep doing it? Because, for example, the Saints signed Chase Young today to a 1-year, fully guaranteed $13 million contract. Now, the casual fan might not know this, but the Saints every year entering the offseason are like in cap hell, like $100 million over the cap. They then kick the can down the road. They extend guys with you know, I don't know, like empty years, basically, whatever the phrase is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they just kick the can down the road. They perpetually do this. How do these guys like them and Kansas City Chiefs just sign people every year? It does not make sense to me.
Yeah, as our continued cap expert, again, the cap is a myth. It's not real. It's all fake. There is no real cap. I don't even. I mean, it's the same thing I have with the Chargers, right? Chargers are in cap hell. You know, they cut one guy, they cut Mike Williams, and then they're back. I mean, this is not. The cap is stupid.
Cap is cap.
I kind of would like to see us like just in an NFL world where there is no cap at this point. I'm just like, why are we even doing this? Like, let's just pay these guys. Let's just let them make crazy money. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll just continue to say that I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. But I just know that if a team is in quote unquote cap hell, you can probably breathe pretty easy. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I guess really the trade-off for the Saints is, look, yeah, you don't have Jameis Winston anymore, and you used his money to sign Chase Young. Who's to say you really won? You know?
Yeah.
Who's to say? We'll find out. Yeah.
Shame, Nola.
All right, so we're going to move on from NFL before I just keep finding reasons to talk about it. Obviously, like I said at the top of the show, probably the biggest weekend in hoops. Or not weekend, but just week, right? I'm a firm believer. I don't know about you. I know you're an NBA guy too. I like March Madness way more than like the NBA playoffs. I find it way more like entertaining. I just love the upsets and stuff like that. I love seeing teams like, who was the one a couple years ago? They had that white guy, the little like Doug something. I don't even remember. But they went on like a Sweet 16 run. The Peacocks. I don't remember even what the school is. You know, some New York team that hadn't made the tourney in forever. Or even like you think of like Florida Gulf Coast a few years ago. Nobody pays attention to them during their regular season, but then they get to the tourney, they go all the way to like the Elite Eight, and like you just don't see that anywhere else, right? Like in NBA, an 8th seed has beat a 1 seed like once in like 100 years, right? I don't know if that stat's true, but it is very like it doesn't happen. NCAA tournament, Arizona loses to Princeton. Like, you know, like crazy shit happens and it's fun to watch. So I don't know about you. I mean, where do you stand? Do you like the NCAA tournament more or do you like NBA playoffs more?
No, I would say that like I like for like pound for pound for 2 weeks, like it doesn't get much better. Like you're going to pack an entire playoff into basically 2 weeks. And every single game is full high stakes. Thanks for the shout out, St. Peter's Peacocks. Also, I love when you mention the Florida Dunk Coast, as it happened a couple of years ago. You know, you're getting old when you're referencing things from like 10 to 15 years ago now, and you're
Has
like,
it really
I
been
think
that
it was
long?
just a. Well, think about how long Enfield's been at USC. He's probably been there
my
like 10
God.
years.
You're
And that's
so
where
right.
he came from. So, but I was like right there with you. I'm like, yeah, that's the most recent run. That was
last year.
That's the Cinderella story. I was like, yeah, half those guys are retired from a European league already.
They're working at UPS.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I think March Madness is like one of the single best events in sports. I mean, this like time, you know, like for me, March Madness, then leading into the Masters, like the start of spring training, even like all of those things were just like the weather's getting warmer, the vibes are really good around it. It's nice to sit on a patio. It just all rules. So yeah, I think March Madness is still better. And I've just been a college sports guy. As you see from the other side, college football, I really prefer to the NFL.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing. I prefer college basketball, generally speaking. The NBA provides more drama and storylines, and you kind of, I mean, just at this point, it's hard to get to know college basketball players. I think.
Yeah.
I think we'll pretty much show our own asses as we go through the March Madness, and we're like, yeah, that guy on this, you know, I mean, I can't. You'll hear our reasonings, but you know, that's the only thing that's tough about it. But for 2 weeks, you learn everything again. You cram for the test. You enjoy the exam, and then you move on. But I really think March Madness is it.
Yeah, dude, I agree with you. I just think it means more, right? Like even though like the one and done thing has come and it kind of like altered things, NIL has now kind of messed with things. I think it still means more, right? It's, you know, another podcast we listened to, Macrodosing, Big T went on there and talked about how with it being regionally based and those things, like it just means more And I agree. Like when, for example, we're Suns fans. When the Suns lose in the playoffs, does the rest of the country care? Probably not. Does most of Arizona care? Probably not, right? But when Arizona basketball loses, there's a large contingent of folks throughout the West Coast that definitely care, right?
Oh,
or
yeah.
when Duke loses, you have a lot of guys that are in CEO level jobs that do care. All right. Like it means more. So I love this time of the year. You said it perfectly, dude. You know, you have everything else going on. This is probably my favorite time of the year, period. Spring, golf, freaking NFL draft, NCAA
Yeah.
tournament, NBA playoffs are coming up in like a month. So, yeah, this is my time of the year. I love it. Make sure that you're subscribed to the show, though, to make sure you don't miss out on any of the dialogue built around all that stuff. Perfect time to click that subscribe button. I see all of you watching right now, so make sure you do that. But for the first time in this show's history, we're going to go ahead and do a bracket. Yes, I've entered us into the NCAA March Madness bracket, right? If we win, it will mean so much to this podcast. Henny and I will finally make a dime. It's not going to. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and do a joint bracket. Yes, a joint. We're not going to battle each other, but we will battle each other for positioning, right? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So if you're not watching this, make sure you pull up to YouTube. But let's go here. All right, here we go.
Or pull out that old paper bracket of your own and just get a nice feel. It always feels nice to touch a bracket.
I'm going to go ahead and just zoom in on this, right? We got the first game in the East. UConn and Stetson.
Move them. UConn, you know it.
That's
we don't
easy
need
money, right?
Yeah, we can talk about them in a minute, but move them on.
Fun fact, Stetson are the Cowboys. Do you think they're in Texas, or where do you think they're based out of?
I'm going to say it's in Georgia.
It's in Florida. You were close, you know?
I knew it was in the South.
And guess what? It is based off the hat. So I would have never thought a Stetson cowboy hat was out of Florida, but it is. It is. So
good fun fact.
Yeah, you know, I might throw in some fun facts whenever I don't know anything about the teams. So just get ready for a lot of fun facts. All right, the next game we're going to look at. This one is a little dicey. Anytime you have an 8 and a 9 seed, this is where the fun happens, right, Henny? So FAU, who beat Arizona this year. So all you haters that tell me I'm just going to pick Arizona to win the bracket, I don't know if I'm going to yet, but they beat Arizona, all right, head to head against Northwestern. How are we feeling, Henny?
My lean is going to be for FAU, who's coming off a Final Four run, return most of those guys. They have tournament experience and generally a Big Ten hater because they always fall flat in the tournament as proven every year of my given life. So my lean would be FAU, but I'd be willing to hear an argument otherwise.
Okay. Here's the thing with FAU. They did lose their conference tourney. Now, you and I have been talking about that a lot this week with Hesse, right? How much do conference tourneys mean to you?
So I've never thought I mean, look, Lute Olson didn't believe in conference tournaments. Why should I? That's really my statement on conference tournaments. I've always thought it was a bit overrated. The reason I enjoy winning them as a fan is it's a lot of fun to travel to Las Vegas, see your team win. I had a lot of friends and family and otherwise like very disappointed in Las Vegas over the weekend. So it certainly stings to lose a conference tournament, but I do consider it to be really overrated, and I think the numbers would bear that out. Now, there's nothing to say that if you win your conference tournament that you can't win either, but their implications by the numbers really is that they're not that big of a deal.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page. I agree. Fun to watch, fun to win, not the end of the world. So cool. I agree with you. I'm gonna go FAU. They got the guys, they got the stones, they got the experience. And you know, what is Northwestern really? They're just a journalism school anyway. So cool. On to the next. We got the Aztecs out of San Diego State against the UAB. I think they're the Dragons based off of their logo, if I remember right. All I know about UAB is they lost their football team at one point. But this isn't a football, segment. So how are we feeling about that one? And I can zoom in a little bit because I see you just.
No, you're good. I got enough of it, but I just wanted to confirm this was a 12-5 as believed. And we know statistically that 12-5 is one that you can play with a bit. I'll defer to you on this one. I think this is like one of those 12-5s where if you want to take the stab at UAB, I'll ride with it. But certainly San Diego State has been proven. I guess like really one of the big questions that we're certainly going to have, and I'm sure we'll go through this time and time again, is do we believe in the Mountain West as much as the committee did?
I actually kind of do. They were strong all year. Not to take away from UAB, right? Also, fun fact, Trent Dilfer does coach their football team. Fun fact number 2. But San Diego State, I mean, dude, they're Blazers. Thank you, Hesse, not the Dragons. They are.
I don't know. It looks like a dragon, Hesse. Get out of here.
They're what, 2 years away? Did they make the championship game or they were in like the Final Four like 2 years ago, right?
They definitely made a run at some point in my life. Yes. How deep that was, I don't know. And here's where we start to expose ourselves.
Yeah. Welcome to the show where we know nothing. No,
let's play guess the NCAA tournament.
I do remember them having Angelo Chol, so that's how old I am. But
San Diego State, San Diego State made a run just like last
2
year.
years ago.
Yes, they were in the championship game last year.
Okay, I knew it was very
with Deshaun Johnson. Yeah, I thought you were talking about UAB because UAB actually made a run at some point in my lifetime too. But what the depth of that was, I'm not sure.
That was only like a couple of years ago too, because they had that super sick guard. I remember that because they used to talk about him on PMT all the time. But yeah, I'm riding with San Diego State based off the fact that they were there last year, the fact that I do believe in the Mountain West, and also San Diego as a city is vastly superior to Birmingham. So that's what I'm going with.
Sorry, Birmingham. Isn't that where our buddy's from?
No, he's from Montgomery.
Montgomery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure. He didn't want to turn our back on him so soon.
Shout out to Ja'Cory. He went to Alabama State anyway, so I don't think he cares about UAB.
Yeah, I think we're good. All right, good. Just want to make sure we're in the clear there.
All right, next one. Auburn and Yale. Yale
Auburn
winning their
maybe.
Yeah, but Yale just won their conference tourney. So that shout out to them. Good for y'all. But yeah, dude, Bruce Pearl's got them boys humming in Auburn. I think this is a pretty easy one, right?
Yeah, I think Auburn's rolling. I actually I think they're going to be a conversation to be had here in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to that. All right, next game, BYU, the Stormin' Mormons against Duquesne. Hey, shout out to Duquesne making the tourney for the first time in like 60 years. You're going to get your teeth kicked in by a bunch of Mormons, but that's fine, right?
That's pretty much my belief as well. No one seems to be particularly high on Duquesne. Everybody says they're complete frauds. There's no reason they should be here. We know that they earn their way in, but they're not getting a lot of respect out there. So kind of hard for me to turn my back on the entire college basketball world.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Fun story, but the buck stops here. Illinois and Morehead State. Illinois, they won their conference tourney, right?
Yeah, and a talented group. Illinois, look, man, they've always got hoopers. I don't really like talking about them a lot, and certainly not in a flattering way. Not because I get the cold sweats or anything like that, just because. But yeah, so I think it's probably going to be those guys, though, unless you have a real strong opinion on Morehead State.
Couldn't even tell you where Morehead State's based out of, so yeah.
I don't know, but a very popular hat back in the day. Go figure.
Yeah. All right, we are into the Pac-12 love. Wazoo against Drake. Drake is in Indiana. I do know that part. But it's got to be Wazoo, right? I mean, they had a great season. Probably the best season I've ever seen a Wazoo basketball team have. And I don't know a lot about Drake.
If they can't win a game this year, when can they? So I think we got to continue to support the West Coast and shout out Wazoo.
Yeah. Perfect. Next game, Iowa State, South Dakota State. Iowa State, also a team that is just hot as hell. Very, very, very good team. South Dakota State, though, has proven to be a little tricky in years past. I have noticed them in the past. I think they're the Jackrabbits. They do put up a fight, but at the end of the day, Iowa State is just a very, very good team right now.
Respect the Jackrabbits as a mascot. Shout out to Mesa High School. Great Jackrabbit logo and nice uniform. Very Charger-esque. But Iowa State.
Perfect. All right. On to the West. Arguably our favorite bracket. All right. Kicking it off with North Carolina against the winner of Howard/Wagner.
Slide them on over.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. This is pretty easy. Now we're going to go into Mississippi State and Michigan State. This is a game I looked at and I was like, this is a tough one to pick.
I think the era of
Izzo
and March is getting pretty dire. I feel like the pressure still mounts. I might be a Mississippi State lean here, but I wouldn't fight you either direction.
This is a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Izzo's getting a little dusty, right? I don't know if people look at Michigan State, and I know I'm guilty of this. I initially looked at them and was like, oh, it's Michigan State. Gotta go with them. But Mississippi State plays in a tougher conference, in my opinion.
Would agree.
I actually did watch a couple Mississippi State games this year, and they play like actually pretty well. I'm leaning towards Mississippi State.
I prove it. If you lean there, that's kind of it's kind of where I'm leaning.
All right, let's go. All right, this is a good game. This is interesting. St. Mary's and Grand Canyon University, my wife's alma mater. Pretty easy though.
I think St. Mary's has been impressive all year. I don't really ever know how good the West Coast Conference is, to be honest. But they had control of that thing all year. If you're good enough to kind of beat up on Gonzaga throughout the year, it's good enough for me to get you through a 12-5. Is Dan Marley still coaching Grand Canyon? Like, who's there? Some guy, right? Just some guy, right? It's just some guy.
That was gonna be my fun fact, though, that Dan Marley did coach there. Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty much all we got. And I have other fun facts about Dan Marley, but I'm just gonna keep them to myself.
Yeah, another episode. Perfect. All right, next game: Alabama Roll Tide against Charleston. I mean, this is pretty easy, right?
Yeah, this is Roll Tide. They're moving the ball. They're up and down. There's no way Charleston stands a chance.
Yeah.
Nate Oates just got paid, though.
By the way, Hesse says it's Bryce Drew is the coach of GCU. Couldn't tell you who that is. He says it's
That's a Valparaiso
guy.
Past.
Okay.
Yeah, Valparaiso guy hit like one of the biggest shots in March Madness history.
Okay. Yeah,
brother of Scott Drew, Baylor coach.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense now.
Cool. Homer Drew, the dad. I can go on the Drews. We could talk Drews all day.
I've been to that arena. It is a nice arena, but they're not going to be the same.
Great golf course too. They have at the GCU.
There you go. All right, this is a good game right here. Clemson and New Mexico. New Mexico's been pretty good all year. I think this might be one of our first real upsets. I don't know how you're feeling.
Yeah, no, I kind of vibe with New Mexico a little bit as well. And then again, this is like where we're going to have our West Coast lean. It's really like you can just already feel it. We've already picked every West Coast team. I haven't seen a lot of Clemson. I know the ACC was down, though, and that there really wasn't a lot of success in that conference generally. So if New Mexico's got a chance to pick them apart, I certainly wouldn't fight you about it. And New Mexico just came through. I actually, I think I bet against them in the championship game with Boise State. Boise State had really owned them over the last 8 or 9 appearances. New Mexico came out and kicked them in the teeth. So I'm with you if you want to ride.
Yeah, plus Clemson just has that Dabo stank, so I don't want to touch
Yeah, just like Clemson basketball just sounds gross too. Like they were decent when I was a kid, like little. But in general, that's no.
Yeah. All right, Baylor Colgate, not the toothpaste. This is easy, right? It's Baylor.
It's just Baylor. Yeah, it's toothpaste never wins.
No, never. They're in the tourney a lot, though. I will give them credit.
They are. They're always hanging around. You're always like, oh, it's those guys again.
All right, Dayton and Nevada, bro. This is actually a very, very good game. Dayton plays very slow and is very good offensively, but Nevada's not bad.
They aren't. Dayton's really good 3-point shooting team, and you can see the closer they get to Arizona, the more we know about them. Heating up, I'm like, oh, watch out, they shoot that 3 ball. This is a tough one for me. I don't really have a particular. My gut like feels like Dayton. I think of Dayton and I think of college basketball. Yeah. but like Nevada definitely wins games. Nevada's won games in the past, so it wouldn't be like a completely foreign concept for them to make a Sweet 16 or win their round of one game at least.
So who are we going with? I'm leaning Dayton.
Let's do it. That's where I feel too. Hey, I think our gut, like our instincts are aligned so far.
Yeah, so far. We'll see how that turns out though. Next
Arizona.
game, this is the one we're gonna get flamed for the most.
15s never beat 2s. Moving forward, never happens. Yeah.
It is the Lute Olson game of the year, though. He did coach at Long Beach State. But yeah, I mean, unless shit just goes real south. I mean, we're talking Princeton levels of south. You know, that is what you were referencing, right? Like,
oh yeah, it's super stressful. I mean, you can't just assume anything here. And I don't think it's like a terrible strategy to just bet like every 15 seed on the money line each year. At this point, like the gap just seems to be closing. I don't think it's a unique problem specifically to Arizona. We've seen it with Purdue. We've seen it with other schools certainly. So, I remember Kansas losing to Bucknell as a 2 seed.
Yeah,
it happens.
I saw those highlights today, actually.
Yeah, it happens. So it's not unique to Arizona for you haters, but it certainly is a thing that can happen. But I feel good about Arizona in this one.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
They're favored by 20. I mean, come on.
On to the next. How do I go to
get to the other side? You got to like drag and pull.
Do I?
I don't know.
Nope, we're not doing.
Does it make you do the whole left side first?
Oh wait, here we go. Wait, yep, there we go.
Okay.
Figured it out.
Okay.
Look at me, technology.
Nice.
Houston and Longwood. I do appreciate the name Longwood.
Hell yeah.
You know, can't pick them. Houston's very good.
Yeah, can't.
All right, this is a game I'm looking forward to. Nebraska and A&M. This is a fun one because Nebraska just lost their AD to Texas A&M. Nebraska is very good.
Is it true that Nebraska has never won an NCAA tournament basketball game?
I've never heard that before in my life. Is that a fun fact?
I'm going to look it up.
I'll talk about Nebraska.
I swear I heard that, and I didn't even know what to think. I was so taken aback. Like, how is that possible?
I sent, shout out to Chase, our boy Chase, friend of the pod. He's a huge Cornhusker guy. I sent him a highlight reel of apparently Nebraska's got this Japanese kid that is just like the Japanese Steph Curry. So with that in mind, I want to go Nebraska.
For the first time in 10 years, the Nebraska men are in the NCAA tournament. This berth is only the 8th in program history, and somehow Nebraska remains as the only major conference team to never have won an NCAA tournament game.
Oh, now you got me questioning life. I mean, do we go to break the curse? A&M's good.
Yeah, what do you want to do? What's more fun to root for?
Oh, boy.
How are you feeling? Are you a hater today, or are you a real nice guy?
We're looking at the Big Ten. We don't like the Big Ten, but if we're looking at the Big Ten, is Nebraska really the Big Ten? I don't consider it so.
They're likable, and they really should just come home to the Big 12 where they belong.
Yeah, they're Big 12. So this is the thing, right? Do you be a hater and you root for just like the curse going on, or do you root for the David and Goliath situation? Even though we're talking about A&M being Goliath, or do you root for Japan? I mean, I think we root for Japan.
I'll ride with however. Yeah, like if you want to be nice to our guy Chase, like I'm all for it.
I did ask him.
There's no doubt if they lose, I'll still laugh. I'm not going to worry about our bracket for 1 second. I'll be like, still nothing.
I did ask Chase to come on the show for draft coverage, so don't want to piss him off too much.
Fair enough.
All right, so we got the pardon my take game of the year, Wisconsin against James Madison. Wisconsin's getting hot at the right time. They beat Purdue, which was massive. Then they did go on and lose to Illinois, but they gave it a good shot. I don't know anything about James Madison except that presidents went there.
Yeah, and I think it's got to be Wisconsin. I just assume they can play enough bully ball with James Madison, who I've never seen in my life. But it is pretty impressive, right? James Madison obviously is doing something right in the athletic department. They are culturally relevant in multiple sports, which is pretty incredible for a small school. Like and cultural relevance a bit strong, but you do see their name crop up. They made the tournament. They were ranked as a college football program, so they're making some waves.
Yeah, I think if you need an athletic director, I would be looking at James Madison because
Yeah.
they're kind of the Coastal Carolina of the world right now. So, but yeah, we're gonna go Wisco. All right, Duke and Vermont. Do we pick Vermont out of spite?
Yeah, I mean, I could always be down for a Duke spite pick. I would tend to lean that they probably lose in the next round, but if you want to pull the trigger with Vermont, we can cat them out. I don't mind.
Vermont, didn't they have a pretty close game last year, I think?
Yeah, I think they hang around. I don't know that they've ever really won, but I think they hang around.
Yeah, I don't know much about Vermont except they have cheese. So, but yeah, we're gonna hold off on the total Duke hate. Sorry, Hesse. We're gonna go with Duke against Vermont. All right, this is a very good game. Texas Tech and NC State. NC State winning the ACC Conference Championship. They won more games in the same arena that the Wizards play in than the Wizards have all year. So that's another fun fact. I watched NC State play, and I want to ride for them, bro. And solely because their big man is built like me, and he plays like me. Shoots the occasional three, bangs down low. I could ride for a guy like that.
I like the hot hand too, and not everybody right. This is going to flame out eventually, but I do like the hot hand in the first round. I mean, they're playing really good ball, and it's just hard to believe that would all come crumbling down. We know it will eventually, but I like them too.
Yeah,
and we got to mix in a couple of those picks in there.
Got to. Kentucky and Oakland. I think we go Kentucky. Kentucky's they're good right now.
Yeah, they're still he's still they're loaded. They're always loaded. So you have to respect them.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we're gonna go Kentucky. All right, Florida, and then the winner of Colorado and Boise State. Did not think Colorado was gonna make the tournament, but they got in on a play-in basis. I think even picking that game was interesting because, like you said, Boise State very good. Basically all year, lost to New Mexico. Colorado, very talented team. They made it all the way to the conference championship, losing to Oregon. I still think Florida probably beats both of these teams, right?
I would agree. They had a pretty major injury with their center, which is certainly tough. But I think overall, probably still more talented as a group. Plus, who trusts Tad?
Yeah, nobody.
His name's Tad.
Yeah, Tad Boyle. Just an awful, awful name. All right. We're going to go Marquette over Western Kentucky, I assume, right?
Feel good.
The Fighting Dwayne Wades. And then we have in the Midwest region, Purdue against Grambling or Montana State. I don't think it matters. Zach Edey will eat them both alive.
I think they'll be okay for this week. Yeah, for game one. They'll be all right.
This is an interesting game. Utah State and TCU. How are we feeling about that one?
I have no feelings about that game whatsoever.
So this is when all else fails and you don't know enough about either team. This is what I've done in the past. Is you just go with the vibe check, right? Do you want to really corral your horse to Utah State, where I couldn't even tell you where in Utah that is? I think it might be southern Utah, but I could be wrong.
Let's just say St. George.
But what I will say, TCU is where LaDainian Tomlinson played. The vibes are high there.
They have TCU, I know at least does play basketball. Can confirm.
Okay, let's just go with TCU. Okay. Gonzaga against McNeese State. The vaunted 5-12 matchup. Gonzaga has not been very good this year. In fact, they've been pretty ass. McNeese State typically can play that underdog role, but I don't know anything about them this year. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know anything about. I don't know where that is either. Somewhere in the South?
McNeese State is in Tennessee.
All right. They can't have two good basketball teams there. No. Gonzaga certainly has been struggling. I will tell you Gonzaga probably won't be in this thing very long.
No, but I think we go with them initially.
I think so too.
Cool. Kansas and Samford. Sick logo. You got the Bulldog on there. super sick logo. Kansas is still going to win, even though they are just shitting all over themselves at the worst time.
Yeah, it's just hard. Yeah, it's just really, again, Bill Self, hard to go against his vibes.
Yeah. South Carolina and Oregon. I think this is an upset. I think Oregon goes in there and wins. They are playing very well right now.
Look, this is a really talented team. They can. Oregon is a stupid team to have in your conference, and I have no problem never seeing them again. They're just annoying because they're not really going to do anything. They're not going to take your conference away from you. They're not going to be a threat. They're going to screw around half the season, show up, play zone, and then beat you one time, and it's just going to annoy the heck out of you. And that's what they'll do in the tournament.
Dante's very good though.
He's very big.
He's playing large lights out right now.
He is.
So I feel confident taking Oregon because I don't think they're a true 11 seed. I think they just had a tough year.
Agree.
Even though South Carolina is very good. Creighton and Akron. This is pretty easy. I think we're going to go Creighton.
Yep, I'm a Creighton guy.
Yep. Texas against, I could not tell you, is CSU Colorado State or is it?
Got to be Colorado State / Virginia there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Are we going horns down? What do you think?
It feels good. It does feel right.
It does. And
I don't even know who the other team's going to be, but yeah.
If it is Colorado State, they've been pretty good this year, and Virginia just lives for the tournament. They can suck all year, and they will play well in the tournament. This is a weird one, though. This is out of left field. 7-10 matchup, though.
Yeah, I don't like anybody, and I just know that Tennessee's coming out of that little quadrant there.
Yeah, I mean, no bracket was completely busted in the first round usually.
It's a 1-point decision as far as I'm concerned.
So who we going with? Just Texas? Play it safe?
I don't care. You can. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
I feel gross even doing it, but whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can have an orange off now.
Yeah. Tennessee and St. Peter's. I think we go with the orange off just based off 5. St. Peter's, fun story. Thanks, Hesse. We appreciate you for bringing that up earlier. But yeah, I crave it to see that orange off. The burnt orange that is iconic on the gridiron, not necessarily on the hardwood against Tennessee. I like Tennessee. I think Don Connect is just lightning in a bottle. He's fun as hell to watch. So yeah, they're going to beat the shit out of St. Peter's.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Now, are you going to start tackling the bracket back this way, work our way back up, and then come across? Or are we going back to the top quadrant and working our way down again?
I think snake draft, maybe. Yeah. Do we just keep?
Yeah, I think if you're here, right? I think we just make the flow. Yeah, and you know, we gotta move. You know.
So how are we feeling? Texas, Tennessee.
I like Tennessee.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just Tennessee.
Tennessee's very good.
You know, I know it's hard to be a believer in Rick Barnes, but given the quadrant they're in, given the talent they have this year, for them to make a Sweet 16 run doesn't seem out of the question for me.
No, me either. Oregon and Creighton, I think we go with Creighton, right?
I would be a Creighton lean there. Would not be shocked to find out Creighton, again, being good at basketball.
Yep. Gonzaga, Kansas. Both teams kind of suck this year.
Yeah. This is 2 big dogs, both underperform, but, you know, at the end of the day, I have to believe Kansas is still a bit more talented, and even a bad Kansas team can be a Sweet 16 team.
Hesse says it's okay to pick upsets, guys. I think we've already picked a few upsets, right? Haven't we?
Yeah, and you know what I mean? It's a long ways to go, Hesse. I mean, look, you fill out your bracket how you want to fill out your bracket. You showed up here.
Hesse's bracket is going to look just the complete opposite of who was it? The dude on, is it ESPN? Shannon Sharp. He picked all 1 seeds. That's his final 4.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, at the end of the day, like, normally the best teams do win. So it's tough, and then you have to try to, you know, hey.
Yeah. All right, Kansas, Gonzaga. I think we go Kansas still.
Yeah, I think
Gonzaga's pretty bad. All right, TCU, Purdue. This is easy, Purdue. I know, Hesse, you're just fucking boiling right now, but sorry, bud. Yeah. I know it's gross.
That's
Florida,
just a gross
Marquette.
One.
Florida, Marquette. I think what you mentioned earlier, I think Florida missing their center is going to hurt. And Marquette is a very good team, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we might be having a different conversation if they didn't. I think as you mentioned, like this is where it bites them.
Yeah.
And if it's not here, it's the round following or so on down the line. To me,
Kentucky. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, to me, I still would ride with Kentucky here. It might upset, our followers here, but to me, they just have a lot. They just got the most. They just have the most talent in the gym. So,
Yeah.
but NC State's hot. So if you want to flip the script on, I ain't mad at you.
I think we go Wisco over Duke because Duke are a bunch of frauds.
It's an upset, baby.
Houston, Nebraska. Houston.
No way Nebraska wins 2 games and like quadruples their winning totals of all time. Yeah, it's not possible. You can't have a 200% increase. The math doesn't work.
No. All right, let's go. Why does this look so weird? All right, here we go. All right, Arizona, Dayton. Not to be a homer, but I gotta pick Arizona.
If we can't get to the Sweet 16, I just can't. Yeah, I just can't. I'm just telling you guys right now, I just can't.
All right, New Mexico and Baylor. How are we feeling?
I think Baylor's proven that they're a pretty good tournament team. And as much as we may like New Mexico here, I think Baylor's proven to be pretty tough. They're generally pretty long. They can mix defenses, and Drew's had a lot of criticism about what he can do as a coach, but then ultimately he won a national championship, believe it or not. So I like Baylor.
Hesse doesn't, but we know his strategy.
Yeah, again, if you want to throw your running around on money lines, I think it's a very different proposition.
All right, St. Mary's, Alabama. Dude, I think St. Mary's is this year's not Cinderella, but pseudo Cinderella.
I can ride with St. Mary's here. I would feel comfortable with that.
Yeah. North Carolina, Mississippi State. North Carolina's a weird team, dude.
I know.
They had stretches this year where they were just not good. They had stretches where they looked unbeatable. And then they lose in their own conference tournament. But I still think they're better than Mississippi State.
I agree. I think their time will come. I don't know if it's just yet.
Yeah. Washington State, Iowa State. Do we go full homer? Do we go just Pac-12 going out?
Well, I mean, this is where it gets a little conflicted for us as we now are Big 12 guys. We're kind of torn between two lovers. I kind of feel like you sent me that shirt about the Cyclones, and I feel like I got to ride with our guy.
Yeah, we can show that during Twitter fingers if we don't get
you
banned.
Can track it down. Yeah.
BYU, Illinois. This could be kind of a little Cinderella story too, though, right?
I think it could be. I also think, if I was going to bet on a Big Ten team, I think Illinois is the team I would ride. But, if you're feeling like the Mormons are them boys, I ain't mad about it.
I couldn't tell you one really big team that they beat this year. Could you?
Yeah, they're in a Big 12 conference though, so they had to have some good wins in there. They wouldn't be seeded as such if they hadn't beaten a Baylor at some point, a Kansas at some point, a somebody. So I would again still lean Illinois probably, but I don't think it's crazy to think BYU can win.
So my question about it would be if BYU was in the Big Ten, do they win more or less games?
Oh, I think they would lose. They would lose more games, win less.
Okay, so then we go Illinois then. Cool.
I think the Big 12 is better, was what I was trying to say. I'm not sure that I said that at all.
No, you said the complete opposite.
I said the opposite. Yeah, perfect.
You said that if they were in the Big Ten,
they
could lose more.
Clip it.
And win less.
Yeah.
That's why I went Illinois. But
yeah,
I think we made the right decision. All right. Auburn, San Diego State. Does San Diego State have them 2 years in a row?
I like Auburn.
I do too. Bruce Pearl's got him humming.
Sweaty ass Bruce Pearl. Give it to me.
FAU and UConn. Ooh, does FAU do it 2 years in a row?
I don't think so.
He's just pounding his desk
I think
right now.
UConn is just a problem.
All right, we go to the Sweet 16. So UConn, Auburn. How much do you really believe in Auburn?
So I believe enough to feel comfortable if you were to push that Auburn button. But I think it's been pretty solidified that UConn, no doubt, should be the favorite.
UConn could be like the favorite for everything.
So the question is now is, do we have the stones? I mean, what do you feel in your gut?
UConn.
Yeah, then just click that button, ring that bell, and
They have
we'll
blown
be all right.
out teams this year.
We don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to get crazy with the number 1 overall seed.
Illinois, Iowa State. How do we feel so far? This is a tough one. Both teams very good.
Yeah, this is where I again explain to you that the Big 12 is by far a superior conference to the Big 10. Just to clarify.
I agree with you. All right, North Carolina, St. Mary's. Do we get really fucking?
Do we get crafty now? Do we get weird? Is it really that team in your heart of hearts, Dugan, that's going to make that climb? St. Mary's has a good history in the tournament as far as I'm concerned. I get good vibes when I think about St. Mary's and the way they play. It is North Carolina. They do have Baycott. You know, they're going to have guys.
All right,
but
Baylor, Arizona, though. How do we feel?
I mean, we're going to look. I
don't know.
They built this tournament around the Caleb Love rivalry game, did they not?
I don't think intentionally, but
oh, I think intentionally.
They're
trying to create TV moments. They can't maybe control the outcomes.
Dude,
but I think they want it.
Bad, though, the last like 2 or 3 games.
Oh, I know he has. Yeah, no, I've been watching too.
Does he turn it on though for the tourney? I've been saying it all year. This is like where he thrives, right?
Yeah, I mean, I sure as hell hope so, man. I feel good if we're playing Baylor. I really do. That doesn't guarantee anything. I feel good about a lot of Arizona games that don't go well. But I like us.
Okay. I went with it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. Houston, Wisconsin. Is Wisconsin that hot, you think?
No. I don't think. Look, if this is a team that if I can't truly believe in Arizona, I watched Wisconsin just absolutely get drubbed by this Arizona team, just annihilated. And I can't unsee that. For me personally, to see how bad they looked that day, it's very hard for me to unsee.
Yeah. Okay. Kentucky, Marquette. I like Kentucky.
I do too. I think we might end up with Kentucky in a place that maybe not everybody else has them. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that seems like where we're headed.
I agree with you. Purdue, Kansas, Purdue, right? Like I do not trust Kansas.
I don't trust Kansas. I don't trust Purdue. That's probably the furthest Purdue's ever made it right there. So we're probably going to have to try to remedy that at some point. But we might have some weird options to do so.
All right. The next game, Rick Barnes and Creighton. How much do we distrust Rick Barnes?
Yeah, so this is what happens, right? So you have a Purdue team lingering up top there when you start to look at that whole bracket that I don't ever really trust. They're really just a poorly officiated game or a game that's not officiated their way. You have Tennessee sitting here with Rick Barnes, as you mentioned, who we can't trust. And then Creighton, coached by McDermott, who's made some runs and looks like they've really sort of rebounded and kind of retreaded those tires because they had a down year last year. Tennessee's more talented, I would think.
They got Dalton Knecht, dude. I told you I'm a Knecht guy.
Yeah, and if you're a Knecht guy, we can ride with that because I don't have a strong opinion about why Creighton would win.
I'm so much of a Knecht guy.
Except for Rick Barnes.
They're going to beat Purdue.
I can't take Purdue to the Final Four. So we had to do it, and I don't care how it gets done. Something had to change.
Okay, I'm glad you're with me. Houston, Kentucky. I think Kentucky does it.
I think Houston's 41-point exhibition was highly concerning.
I agree.
That's it doesn't mean that they can't still figure it out and be fine, but that is alarming. Kentucky scores the ball. So I could see there being a problem there.
UConn, Iowa State. I'm taking UConn.
Yeah, that's fine. At this point,
They are.
Once they survived Auburn. If they survive Auburn, I think they're absolutely in the Final Four.
All right. And then the Caleb Love game of the year, North Carolina, Arizona. This one's tough for me. Like I told you before, I grew up a Tar Heel. I loved them so much growing up. I trust neither team.
Correct.
Man. Let me hear your argument, and then I'll make my either counter argument or my agreeing argument.
My argument is that we're due, man. Come on. I really don't know. I do still believe that like the high end version of Arizona is a very, very good team. Look, they have a center, they have a big wing, they have a scoring wing, they have guards, they have guards that don't mind gambling, maybe even gambling the night before a game. They're not afraid to take chances. This could go either way, as you mentioned. I don't have a gut feeling. I would feel better if we're not sure, just taking Arizona to the Final Four. Just for the people.
Let me ask you this: who guards RJ Davis?
I think Pella, right?
Does he do it effectively?
I think you're effectively putting Pella on him to start the game, and you're going to see Bradley on him. And that might be when you see Bradley in the game more than you've ever seen him in the game, frankly. So maybe that's when the switch flips and this becomes more of a Bradley team and a Lewis team and less of a Boswell team. Maybe that's the thing that finally triggers it. I don't know, but who guards Caleb Love?
All right. We'll go with it.
I mean, look, we got people to see in the office tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like we live here.
All right. We didn't go full Hesse mode. We have a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 2. I think that's not far off. I think UConn is far and away. I think UConn is far and away the best team in the tournament. But let me hear you out. What do you think?
No, I think at this point I feel comfortable, right? And there's no reason for us to try to jinx the team and take them all the way. I think we've done enough. I think we've put our hopes and our dreams and our wishes out there, and that's a Final Four, and anything above and beyond that. All of a sudden, though, I will say you would be finding these games in Phoenix, Arizona. You would be finding these games with a strong Arizona contingent. You would be finding these games with a lot of good vibes. So that's where it gets tricky. And so that's why if all of these little stars can align to just get them to this point, I do believe anything is possible. And you know how that Red Sea to steal the Cardinals' term, but in place put in ours, would give us quite a fight. So on the right side of the bracket in the SEC championship, as it were, I wouldn't be surprised to see Kentucky come out of that. But if you want to take your white boy, you certainly can.
No,
but I don't think it's all. I think if you want to throw UConn in there, like we've done our part, we put them in the Final Four. I think UConn's proven to be the team that, if you're just playing this all out logically, that you would choose.
I'm gonna tell you this, Jim Ramirez, you were right. We're going Arizona, baby.
We're sickos.
Hey, I was fully on board putting UConn all the way until you mentioned, even though it's right there in my face, the Final Four is in Phoenix. All right? Like, dude, that place is going to be flooded. If they make it that far, which, let's be real, they probably won't. It's going to be flooded with Arizona fans.
That's right.
So with that in mind, Arizona, Kentucky, 2-3. How we feel? Wildcat v. Wildcat.
Well, we've seen this before.
We have.
And I think we all know what happens, Dugan. Crown him.
Jim is going to never listen to us again. Final score, I don't know. This
tiebreaker, big stadium. that's like low 70s, high 60s number, right? They never can score
72.
more than that. They're gonna shoot bad for a while. Yeah, nice.
Boom.
We did it.
What a way to finish it right there. That block A right there.
As soon as, I mean, when I put on the Tommy pullover, right, this is kind of like the vibe that they're going with, sort of the off red with the coaching staff. I mean, I think you guys know what you signed up for, and I think you knew what you wanted, and we gave it to you.
See that flag behind me right now? I ride for the state, all right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a Steve Kerr jersey. The lighting's bad tonight, but trust me, that's what it is back there. And if you see us next week and we're talking about going into some sort of deep run, you better believe we'll have the jersey on.
I apologize in advance to Jim Ramirez because I did tell him he would be surprised, but you know what? You weren't surprised. So
yeah, sorry, Jim. Sorry. We tried. Like I was totally cool with clicking in UConn, and then I remembered, dude, we already made it to the Final Four. It's in Phoenix. Dude, what a run.
And the rest of it's in Salt Lake. So I mean, like, hey, you think we're not going to travel to Utah? Like, come on.
All right. Get ready to white knuckle this whole ride, brother.
Yeah. Now the pod's at stake.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to share the screen one more time. We're going to go into the next closing. Twitter fingers, of course, where we share the dumb shit that we share with each other. So hope you guys are just, ready for that. All right. Let's jump into it. Let's see. All right. This one is for Henny. We're going to go.
We're so grateful for your presence. We're so grateful to help celebrate this beautiful couple. And we just pray for eternity in their love. And we just pray for blessings. And we just pray for grace and power, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Boy, if you guys aren't watching the YouTube, you're probably, when did like jump shots get so religious? Well, the moment that Jameis Winston decided to, go ahead and attend his assistant coach's wedding, and say a prayer. Henny, I think you missed your shot. And you missed your calling. You could have had, Jameis at your little wedding that you had. How do you feel?
All-time vibes guy. I mean, I just love this guy. He makes me smile every time. I'll just say that. And if you haven't seen the Sunday Conversation with Caleb Presley, you should also check that out.
Yes, I agree. Pure vibes. So, if you and the wife ever want to have a bigger wedding down the road, you know where to send your invite. So, all right. The next one we got, there's a version of Russian basketball where they suplex people.
Yeah. I saw this earlier in the week. I'm glad you shared it because I kind of thought about it and then I don't know, I walked away or something, or maybe it was the guy taking the shirt off before the suplex that I was like, maybe we don't want. I mean, this is something.
Rule? Is that a rule? You got to take the shirt off if you're going to do it?
I don't know. That's what it looks like, right? I mean, the shirt's coming up. I don't know if it's just this one guy. I don't know if this is a highlight clip for this one individual, but I mean, this is slam ball.
Yeah, this is the real slam ball.
Like this also feels like like the name kind of missed, but yeah.
The most Russian thing I can think of.
Yeah, this is just so Russian.
They need bears somewhere though.
Yeah, one bear and just in a bottle of vodka.
Yeah. Well, okay.
This is if this is what they're doing though, this is incredible.
Yeah, I would attend. I would watch.
Yeah, I would exactly.
Find a man who looks at you the way Dodgers dugout looks at Gian.
Yeah, this one I think you could probably just show. I don't think you need a lot of audio. Basically, what you're getting here is, and I'm not sure who this woman is. Like, I guess she's this actress, South Korean. I don't even know how to say her name. She is beautiful, but it's clearly just the whole Dodgers bench just kind of vibing. Like, are you seeing this? Are you checking this out? And then like the internet reaction of like, oh, look at these. Like, it's so funny to see like the total opposite reactions is just really what makes me laugh. People just being like, oh, isn't this funny to see the Dodgers all looking like this? Look at them all acting like little kids around this girl. Basically, there's a pretty girl and they're happy. And then other people, look at these absolute monsters. Just look at their behavior. This is unbelievable. Don't these guys have wives? Is anybody else not disgusted by this? So the internet's fun. It always is fun. It's just such a fun place, that internet.
They sign Shohei Ohtani once, and they bring in the heat. So, all right, here we go. Trump allegedly had 3 eagles in his club championship victory yesterday.
This guy's incredible.
I mean,
he does it again.
If I owned a golf course like he does, I would do the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? I make my own rules.
I literally have not spent a lot of time in my life arguing about this individual, but every heated conversation I have had has been about his golf game and how I think he's a total fraud.
Dude,
and it drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely insane.
The one clip we played last week where it was the scramble partners that shot like a 40-something. Somebody needs to reply to this that.
Yes, this is the embodiment of that in a singular individual. But he continues to collect these championships despite, the fact that he can get up and down stairs. It's incredible. It's unbelievable.
Oh, man. Just in time for November. All right. Max Homa killed a guy.
Oh! So he actually hits a tree. No one's killed. However, I cannot get over how dumb these people are.
It's just standing in the light of...
Yeah, like, look, man, I trust a pro to a point, but this guy's staring right down the barrel. And if you see the reverse angle of this, there's trees everywhere. I mean, again, Homa's a pro. I mean, he's a top 20 player in the world. These guys, this is just ridiculous behavior. They're lucky no one, like, honestly, has been killed. And then there's a bunch of then again, you can see on the internet them put this through the spin zone as well. And clips of like Homa basically killed a guy and says he doesn't even care. He shouldn't have been there. Well, it's true that he probably shouldn't have been there, but it's also not what happened. And he wouldn't be so callous if that did happen, blah, blah, blah. But pretty crazy video.
No, Homa's a great guy. I actually really like Max Homa.
Yeah, very likable. And not a pervert.
You said that a pro golfer hasn't killed somebody, but have you seen this clip?
So just an extension of the last conversation, at least from my perspective, why are you trusting these people? I'm decent, man, but like you need to be parallel. You need to be over here. 90 degrees in either direction. Anything's possible. These people are nuts. I don't know why.
This is an amateur, dude.
Complete amateur.
What are we doing?
This guy was not built for this pressure situation. He's never had more than 10 people watch him tee off before. He was itching to fail.
I'll tell you this much, though. If the guy had tasties, he'd be so calm, cool, and collective. He'd be chilling. He'd have just the flavor that you can taste. That definitely wouldn't have happened. I can promise you that. That lady would have been sound as whatever. She would definitely not gotten hit. And he would have just been cool chilling with a tasty in his mouth.
The flavored golf tee. They've got it down to a T. I'm telling you, that lemon lime.
Perfect. Next one. We talked about the tourney earlier. Houston backers beware. Did I not pick Houston because of this? You'll never know. But we all know how this goes.
Are you a Drake guy?
No. I'm not, like, I say that I'm not saying I don't like Drake, but like I don't stand for Drake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially lately. I feel like his last few albums have been pretty mid.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of a Drake hater. Like, obviously he has his hits. I'm not saying I've never played a Drake song or there's never been a Drake song I don't like. I don't spend all my time hating on Drake, but I am a little weary of people who are big time Drake stans.
Yeah, Hesse with an all-timer. Drake really messed up not writing with the school called Drake.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking the same.
Yeah, Jesus, Drake. All right. Here we go. This is from Antonio Brown. Let me go ahead and get the volume going.
About the VP pick. It's an important pick, and I got to say, I'm ready to make it official right now. Folks, look, we need the black vote. Okay, we do. And not some dinosaur-looking guy like Shannon Sharp. So my pick is the great Antonio Brown. God bless. You know, a lot of people
definitely not a deep fake. Antonio,
Yeah.
you know, I worry about Antonio Brown.
He has become one of the fire Twitter follows, though. I got to say, like, you have to, like, you can't, like, you almost like you're missing what's going on culturally if you're not catching the Antonio Brown tweet of the day, because he is bringing the heat every single day in some form or fashion. You're going to have an opinion about what Antonio Brown has to say. I promise you that.
How would you feel about a Trump Antonio Brown ticket?
Yeah, I think I'm probably out on that. Probably not exactly my cup of tea. Antonio Brown makes me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He's like a guy that I think, honestly, like in a room would make me nervous.
Yeah, same. All right, we just talked about the tourney again. We are robbed of just something special, Henny.
With kicks.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Taking off again. This time distributes at the basket to work with.
We talked about him on the show not that long ago.
Hughes a little off balance. Just bounce pass underneath.
Look what we missed out on, dude.
Avila.
We have to be able to vote one team in.
Big man can move.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Because this is what America wanted. They've been teasing us all year with it.
I think the fan vote should be a real thing. You know.
I mean, honestly, right?
MVP,
just for one team.
MVP has, fan vote, everything, all stars. I think March Madness needs it, and this would have been my pick as well. I absolutely loved the tweet I saw a couple weeks ago about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Indiana State. How somebody said, like a kaiju from Godzilla, Indiana State just summons a random white boy to like torment the NCAA college basketball universe every 40 years. We missed out, dude. We missed out.
I don't know what any of that means, but RIP to your Dragon Ball guy, by the way.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh wow, we both sent the amateur golf guy. Okay. Let's see. We have competition, honey.
Oh, yeah.
Lamar Odom and Caitlyn Jenner are starting a sports podcast together. Will you listen?
I think that's going to be a no for me, Doug. I really don't think this is going to be something that I'm into. I actually have love for like both of these people from like certain times, but then also it's like, what's going on? Obviously Caitlyn's become just sort of like, I don't know. She's a Kardashian, or it's
Great golf game though.
I'll fall into like that world of things of that I'm not too interested in. Same thing with Lamar. I think I loved Lamar coming out of Rhode Island. Was a big Lamar fan, like just really liked his game. But then once he kind of fell into the trap of that world as well, I generally become a little bit disinterested, with the one caveat that I will support Kendall Jenner as long as she's dating Devin Booker.
Yeah, she is a Suns fan now. So
that's the kind of Devin Booker supporter that I am.
All right, so this one I will not zoom in on, but Le'Veon Bell was in the news recently because he was going to make a return to the Steelers potentially. Now he's in the news just because my man's lonely. He's leaving some comments on some OnlyFans profiles, and my God, this man is down bad.
I read through a few of these, and yeah, it's guy feels real lonely. This feels very much like trucker on a CB radio finds the only woman that he believes to be known in the country vibes. There's some curious comments. I mean, if you're into it, I suggest that you check it out, because I did not even know this was going on. You said it, and I was like, wow, some of these are graphic.
They're pretty racy. Shout out to Mike Tomlin. We just saw Antonio Brown. Now we're seeing,
I know, man.
I know it's been a Steelers heavy episode, but my man was just like keeping the ship afloat with like 7 holes in it. Like, yeah, he deserves a lifetime achievement award. My God. All right. I think we got, nope, that was it. That was the last one. So that's Twitter Fingers for the week. Hope everybody enjoyed it. But that's also the show for the week. Hey, we got our bracket out. You can either choose to tail us. I pray for you in that instance, or you can choose to say, you know what, you guys are idiots. I'm going to go like Hesse and just say, give me every upset in the world. That's also a choice, right? Doesn't matter. But I will throw our bracket in pieces on our Instagram if you want to choose to follow us. But in order to find that, you got to follow us on all the socials. You got to follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of it. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on wherever you listen to this. It could be Spotify, it could be Apple. I don't know. We're on all of it, right? But if you like what you saw, shoot it out to a buddy. Shoot it out to a friend. Next time you're on the golf course enjoying a tasty, show your buddy. Hey, check out this sick podcast I listened to /watch to. Watch to. Weird. But hey, I was on a roll. Now I'm not. Make sure that you're sharing the show. That's what we're talking about. And Threads. Thank you, Hesse. If you even utilize Threads, good on you. We don't really, but share it. Share it wherever you want. Truth Social. Do it there. We mentioned Trump a lot tonight. I don't know. Maybe that's your bag. All right. Share the show. We appreciate it. 5-star reviews only. Interact with us. We love all of you. Henny, closing thoughts.
Bear down, buddy. 11 a.m. on Thursday. The grind starts. We have to defend our bracket. We have to defend our home state. Everything matters. It's all on the table. Tommy, man, I'm nervous, to be honest. And we've only added to the pressure. I'm sure once the boys hear that we rallied around him here at the Jump Shots pod, though, they're sure to deliver. So I look forward to a big week. And as Dugan said, thank you all so much for your support. Jim Ramirez, we're sorry.
We are, sincerely. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.